Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and all the beautiful people tuned in today, which is literally 100% of this audience. It's Wednesday, which means it's time for me to learn some more Dota. I am the student Day 9, joined by Sensei Purge. How are you doing, Kevin?
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing, man?
I'm alright. I'm
Yeah.
alright. I increased the weight in my weightlifting, and my tendons are tired.
Are you sure it's your tendons and not something else? Like your
No,
muscles?
no,
Or...
I did no research into this. I just
Okay.
decided it was my tendons, and they're a little tender, but we're going to assume it's because it is all in the quest to becoming power hot this year.
You sure it's not your ligaments?
Could be. It could be. I don't know anything about the human body. I'm wearing a wolf shirt today, so everything's getting
So
better.
definitely,
But
definitely
yeah,
tied together.
yeah, I know. See, you don't even try to make a transition. You just confidently change topics. That's how we do it here. In today's show, we're going to be learning about itemization, and of course, a few announcements before we go into that, which is that in the coming about 2-ish months, Kevin, being the globetrotter that he is going to be traveling around to a variety of tournaments and whatnot. But for me, this is good news because there's time to actually practice and digest things a little bit more. Because for someone who knew very little going into this, there's a lot of shit to know about Dota. So Kevin's going to be gone next week. Then not the following week, and then probably for the next 2 weeks, but then not for a week, but then he's going to be gone. And the important thing is that... Did I? I'm so sick. Oh my god, I'm sick.
Yeah.
I will still be here every single Wednesday being a tryhard live. The only thing that will be missing is any semblance of competency in the show, as is represented by Kevin on a weekly basis. So, just want to let you know that that will be happening, and without any further ado, I want to talk a little bit about where I'm at, Kevin. You ready?
Okay, let's hear it.
Yeah, so again,
The wins.
well, okay, dude. Oh god, I had a good streak. I lost 3 here, but like here's the oh yeah. Oh, look at those sopping wet W's. It's green, Kevin. It's green.
A lot of green.
I had some struggles here. I lost 2 games with Spirit Breaker where I felt awesome. I was really happy with how I played, but I was out farming our hard carry in a 45-minute game. So I was kind of like, okay,
Yeah.
maybe not my bad. I had good records. I had powerful muscles. I felt good. I haven't been able to play nearly as much ranked solo games as I want for 2 reasons. One, I've been busy, but in good news, next week, all I'm doing is playing Dota, man. This weekend, all I'm doing. So I'm hoping to get like 30 games in before
jealous.
next Wednesday. Yeah, it's going to be great. And the second thing is that it unfortunately is very fun to play Dota with friends.
Yes.
So I'm getting rid of all of them next week too. So it's going to be just me.
Your homework is playing by yourself, lonely, with 4 random people that you don't know, probably
Yeah.
gonna yell at you.
Close friends are like, hey, you want to do a duo queue? I'm like, fuck off. I block them on Skype, and I'm like, Kevin's going to be so proud of me, man.
Yeah, you should ruin your friendships for the goal of your MMR. It's basically what everybody else does in Dota, so very common. Like,
I'm
no,
learning
sorry,
of it.
man, I want to raise my solo MMR. I'll just go play by myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, without any further ado, that's all I got. Do you have anything else before we start, Kevin?
Yeah, just the only thing I thought I'd mention is the reason I'm gone is the major's coming up, basically. So going to be
Yeah.
traveling around to a couple of various tournaments and stuff. So if you don't tune into the Dota 2 Pro scene much, there's large tournaments. They do basically one every 4 months or so, and the next big one's going to be Kiev. So got some stuff coming up, basically.
So sick.
That's all. Might be a weird schedule. We'll see if we can fit it. So this is what we're going to cover today. It's going to be itemization. We've naturally covered itemization a lot in the last couple of weeks, but it was always in small amounts. So we're going to try to just connect all the dots today.
Yeah.
But it'll be definitely a lot of review and some things that we already know. But yeah, simple things. What would you say your itemization understanding is right now? Because I know, like I said, we've covered it quite a few times. We've covered some aspects in various episodes, but do you feel confident with your item building? I know you said you like almost always just follow guides to the T. You don't change it up too much.
I'm beginning to get some sense of it, but I think that still the most difficult thing for me is being able to weigh 2 seemingly good options against each other. Like a really simple example is, I'm Spirit Breaker, I'm going to get an Assault Cuirass, I'm going to get a BKB. These both are good items. There's physical damage in large amounts on the other team. They have a few stuns. How do I choose which one to go for and why? Because I think that there's the super obvious choices that I'm cool with. Like, if there is a ridiculous amount of lockdown and magic damage, I'll get a BKB. and that's great. But yeah, that weighing I find especially hard.
I think the easiest solution to solve that question or answer that question is that you have to think about how you're going to play with that item. So if you think about an assault cuirass, it's like I am getting the value of being physically survivable, of right clicking a lot, whereas BKB is mostly a team fight item. So if you're expecting to fight a lot or be in situations where you can't afford to get stunned for the first couple seconds of the fight because that would prevent you from stunning them for the first couple seconds, that's how you have to weigh the decision. So it comes down a lot to what you expect to happen in the game, and how you want to make your hero valuable. So we'll definitely cover that question a little bit as we go through. So let's start off with some basics.
Yeah.
Clip number 1.
Oh, we're going straight into clips, man. Let's do it. And Kevin, it's also tech time. Do you have your camera on a higher than usual setting? Because your audio's a little bit behind. Isn't that sad?
My camera on a higher than usual setting. I don't know what that means. I actually noticed you... Yeah, I can see my Skype is showing your speech is off as well. So I just...
You might have an internet issue. Who knows?
Is my computer dumb today?
It might be. It might be that you have a dumb PC. It might be. The show's canceled. There's no more learning to be had because you are a quarter of a second off.
A quarter second? That's kind of a lot, man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna open up my webcam controller. Can just... No, that's not what you want me to know. I don't know what you want me to mess with.
It doesn't matter. Look, we'll fix it for next show. It doesn't matter. It's fine.
Okay. Yeah, this will only take like an hour.
Yeah, it's no big deal. Everyone, don't look at Kevin. Okay,
yeah,
so
just ignore me.
All right, clip 1.
All right, now I'm not important. Nice, perfect. Okay, so these are starting item builds. Obviously, we've done some of this before, but give me a quick breakdown of glaring issues you may see here. I know you don't play all these heroes, but we got a couple at least.
Okay, so this is Zeus, Spirit Breaker, that looks like a beautiful Nyx Assassin skin, right. And I guess that's Broodmother. It's the only thing that is sufficiently spidery sized. Yep. So Zeus playing in mid lane, he has 4 clarities. Okay, so what I might say is I have done excessive clarities with Zeus. I understand that what this Zeus is trying to do is to farm with his Q and then to get a bottle early on. So this seems mostly fine. I think that's probably too many clarities. I think that he could get away with 2 or at worst 3.
I would agree with that. Definitely a good point. What about Spirit Breaker here?
Spirit Breaker. Oh my god, look at that. He's getting the sweet, sweet tangos. That's great. This looks like a very harassy... Okay. First of all, Orb of Venom, I enjoy as a first item on Spirit Breaker. Yep. It seems great. If you're not that worried about being super under fire, this seems fine.
Do you start it? Do you buy it at level 1, like at the game start, or do you buy it later?
I buy it later. What I do is I get all my usual regen, the 2 ironwood branches, but the big thing that I see missing is the stout shield, which will probably make it stressful for him. Obviously, this is one step towards an urn, but I have been delaying my urn more and more and more to increasing success with this. So this feels like a Spirit Breaker that kind of wants to go balls out, but he seems a little squishier and like he's going to burn through his regen quickly. Yeah,
I would say the only way this build looks okay is if you're playing support Spirit Breaker, and even then I wouldn't buy the Gauntlet because it's kind of expensive.
Yeah.
Basically, the story of these is, and the story of the episode is really, it's not just the starting items that we're going to focus on, which has been a lot of our focus before for items.
Yeah.
It's about trying to get the nuance of how to transition. So the Spirit Breaker build, like you said, he doesn't have Stout Shield, and he has only got 1 set of regen. So that means that if he's in a high harass situation, he's going to get really screwed by this because that Gauntlet should be a Stout, or the Gauntlet and the Clarity should be a Stout, or there's a lot of different contexts to how his build should adjust. So by him not having Stout Shield or having that much regen, it's going to make his need for a regen item even more heavy in the early part of the game. And like you said, shaving 2 clarities off of Zeus, for example, could mean a faster bottle, could mean faster boots of speed after the bottle. There's a lot of like other implications that happen based on wrong choices. So we're going to try to get you to make the correct choices as you develop through the game. Let's continue with the last 2 heroes.
Nyx Assassin's opening build is perfect. This is the it build. I love this build so much, man. You're invulnerable, dude. You harass like crazy. You already have infinite regen. Let's buff it 50% with mangoes, man. Fuck yes. We got the Stout Shield to tank the hits. We got the regen. We got an Ironwood Branch to look cool. I've decided this is the biggest reason you get an Ironwood Branch. Is you go, look, you might not be as good as Dota as I am, but you can be if you buy the Ironwood branch. It makes you look hyper competent in there.
That's +1 damage, right? That's better last hitting or something.
Yeah, and you get the healths and the ints.
Yeah.
So this looks great. This looks like a fantastic build. Broodmother, I really don't know very well, but yeah, listen, I don't fucking know Broodmother at all. I understated my incompetency when it comes to Broodmother. This is a spider. I'm horrified to give an analysis of this.
Yeah, it's her build is okay if you take out the Orb of Venom and replace it with something else. But there's a lot of options. Some broods do quelling, some go like Stout Shield, some get a Soul Ring recipe. There's a lot of different ways, but that build's just bad because of the Orb of Venom, I feel. Other than that, it's okay.
I have never had good success with an Orb of Venom right at the start of the game.
Yeah, there's not a lot of cases. I would say only if you're a roaming hero is basically the only way. If you're playing Ogre support or something, it can work.
And you're being Blue Clown Man?
Exactly. Just run at people and slap them, and then all of a sudden they're slow.
Ah! Baseball! Ah!
Yeah.
Let's go,
exactly.
Ogre.
Yep, that's pretty much right. So, so we can talk about. Oh yeah, what are the most important items needed in the next 2,000 gold for these 4 heroes?
Okay.
That's the biggest mistake that most players make at low MMRs, even if they buy the right items.
Okay, Kevin, I have answers for you. Bottle and Arcane Boots. Raw,
Okay.
raw. Potentially, if he's in a shitty matchup in mid, he might also want to get a Windlace early, just for a little bit of X maneuverability, which he can then build into Yuz. But that's not going to be one of his early items, so whatever. That's just me saying I have played Zeus before, and I feel like a powerful nerd. This man,
2,000.
The next 2,000 gold. So, Treads Wandern.
Okay.
And I think that is just over 2,000 gold. Nyx Assassin, really Arcane Boots, and then I have seen Nyx Assassins get Bottle as well to deal with mana stuff, but basically it's the boots are the most important thing for the Infinimana, and then the Blink. Excuse me, Dagon 1. He should go Dagon 1 right now. Nah, I'm kidding. For Broodmother, again, I know nothing about the Broodmother, but, you know.
Some item. Spend your money on some. Dagon as well. How about that?
Sure. Hey, I love Dagon Broodmother.
I've seen it. It's okay. No, it's really not. No, actually, it can work. It's kind of fun because you just like show up out of nowhere and then somebody dies. It's great. All right, let's hop to the next clip.
All right.
This is a post-game analysis of some item builds. You can take a pause here whenever.
Okay.
Look at you can't see all the full starting items in the score screen, but let's assume that they all have adequate amounts of regen. You can see the important items they have, basically like stouts and stuff like that. What are some weaknesses that you could exploit in any of these builds? Like, where are there any issues that are coming through, any mistakes, things like that?
Okay, well, I'll start with Slark. I actually played a game with this just last night. I'm going to go back into the games. Was it this one? I mean, this game wound up lasting forever. Is this the Slark game? I played a Slark who went for Hand of Midas early, and we absolutely dumpstered them because the Slark just did not have... Yeah, see, look, let me show you the graph. Where's the player items? Boom. There's the Hand of Midas, Slark, man, there it is. And he actually got his boots after his Hand of Midas. Yep. This guy died so many times, so it's very funny that you bring this up. He is slow, so we can gank the ever-living shit out of him. He has low stats, and unless he's farming ridiculously, or excuse me, unless he's leveling ridiculously quickly, with this sort of thing, he has nothing. He sucks. This guy sucks. I think that's my full analysis of the Slark. He's missing all the items he needs to be in good shape.
It's true. And before he hits 6 as well, he's just super, not only is he punishable, but he doesn't have regen. Because you're buying a Midas first, it's just like, you have to get 6 just to get some passive regen. So if you just zone him, or kill him a bunch of times before 6, it like throws off his whole game. His whole power curve is a lot worse. Alright, what about CM? Have you played her before?
Yeah, I had played her, like, I think just one time. Feels very straightforward. I mean, I think the biggest thing here is that, why a Quelling Blade? Okay, the Quelling Blade is weird because, I mean, unless there's a Monkey King and she's going to be doing some chippity chopping, that looks weird. I don't understand why it is quite so long until boots, but doesn't seem that unreasonable. I mean, I don't have
she's bad.
I also don't have any time markers. I don't know if this is
Yeah,
like
it's hard to see,
how
unfortunately.
zoomed in we are. I don't know if these are comparable to one another, but whatever. So, I
This,
mean,
this is like a how to graph in college as a freshman
yeah, I know.
chart.
No axes on this shit. It's fine. No, I understand we're doing conceptual stuff, but with Crystal Maiden, she's very slow. So
Yeah.
she is. Her ganks can go wrong before she has boots, or I should say, my ganks go wrong before we have boots. But other than that, this looks just like a relatively typical support build. And assuming that there's a reasonable amount of regen, I would prefer this to be a stick instead of a quelling blade.
Yeah, or maybe a ring of protection, or smoke, or sentries, observers. There's a lot of stuff that she could be
Oh shit! Yeah, no,
purchasing in there too.
okay, so
All
this
right.
man. So up to phase boots looks reasonable, especially this stick seems completely fine depending on what matchup he's against. And
Okay.
there's this shield here, that's great. This looks what? And then he goes straight into a satanic. Okay, so I don't know the exact numbers of satanic, but I feel like right in here there is a long gap where there's not a lot going on. This is just plus lifesteal and
And
nothing else.
and damage. 15 damage, 15% lifesteal. So what's he missing right in the middle there?
Wait for this? I don't.
Yeah, they changed it.
Wait,
Last patch.
what? Wait, what? Wait a damn minute. Are you serious? Wait,
Yes.
where is this item on here? There
Mask
it
of
is.
Death. Morbid Mask.
Oh no. Oh shit! It's 15. Jesus, holy shit! I
It
had
used
no
to be
idea.
900 gold, but they added damage to it and made it 1200.
Damn. Even so, I don't think that Jug really needs lifesteal as much, especially with his healing ward. This is not giving a lot of damage. This is giving some damage, but anything that's more of a battler's item in here at any point. I mean,
Okay, I would take that. I think that's fair.
Aquila.
All right, how about this relic before boots rush on Spectre? Because damn it, he's getting the relic faster. Justified?
I gotta say nope. I feel like, well, okay, so thinking about Spectre, he does have or she has the dagger where she can walk along and escape
Yep.
more easily. I don't know how much of a speed boost that gives, if at all.
Up to 16% max, and it slows them by 16. Which is like, it's like 45 movement speed.
So I think the biggest reason why I would say that this is an issue is that, yeah, I suppose you still would be able to have some reasonable escape just with the ability, but getting the boots early would permit you to do the farm faster anyways in order to get the
For
relic
which reason
quicker.
would it make you farm faster?
In the jungle. Running through the jungle. Going to lane, going to jungle.
You can't do that though, because you would take way too much damage from creeps. Like walking from neutral creep to neutral creep isn't even going to save you or make you go fast. Like you'll run faster, but a Spectre without any items other than like Stout Shield and like some regen items, it's not going to be enough.
True. So, I mean, I think that basically this entire build's bad, is
Yeah,
what I might say.
pretty much. Like it only works if you sit in lane for like 15 minutes and nobody ever ganks you or pressures you or shows up at all. If they just forget that Spectre's in the game, it's a great build, really great build. But it doesn't cover 50% of possibilities because you're like, I just want to get Radiance as fast as possible. But if you at least buy like Boots, Aquila, it smooths over that area to make it a lot better, I find. All right, how about the last two here? We got Enigma. You ever played Enigma?
I haven't, but I know how he works.
Okay.
So he's going for a Blightstone early, which would imply jungling / ganking. So his little Eidolons can do a little bit of bonus damage.
Yep.
And for the most part, this seems fine, except there's no Blink Dagger, which I think is absolutely critical if you're playing Enigma for a Black Hole.
I agree, but Mech First is pretty common actually, just because
Oh, I had no idea.
in some ways, if you buy Blink and you mess up or you get initiated on, then your gold is not worth anything. Like if this example had a Blink instead of a Mech there, I would actually criticize it in almost all cases.
Oh, okay.
Because Mech gives you stats, it lets you heal your allies, it doesn't make you just a Black Hole. It makes you
Yeah.
somebody that has Black Hole. It's a little harder to land, but you can combo it with other skills and things
Right.
like that. I would say his build's pretty good. The only thing I don't like is I think you should buy Buckler instead of Headdress first, because Buckler gives you far better survivability with the armor and better pushing, whereas the Headdress is more of a regen thing, and I
Yeah,
don't think
yeah.
you really need regen if you're playing the hero right. So, what about Lion? Do you like his build?
For the most part, this seems fine. Everything seems nifty, except for maybe reordering one of these three, the Magic Wand, the Boots of Tranquility, and the Windlace. Like, it's reasonable to get the Windlace early here, I feel, so you can participate in chasing ganking a little better. I think it's reasonable to delay the Wand or to not get the Wand, but I would always wind up getting the Wand because it's relatively cheap and I get no fucking money as a support.
I also don't like that he got Magic Stick before Brown Boots. Unless he's against a Bat Rider or something,
right.
I would prefer that he goes Boots first. And I agree about the Magic Wand purchase. I think it's a little unnecessary. And I actually do like Tranquils before Windlace personally because you go from 45 movement speed to 85, I believe, when you're not taking damage. So if you go from Brown Boots to Tranquils, it's a 40 movement speed advantage, and it only costs you 500 gold to upgrade to Tranquils, whereas Windlace is 250. So
I had no idea
efficient.
Boots of Tranquility gave you a speed boost.
Tranquil Boots.
Sorry, that's totally what I intended to say. I have no memory of what it is I said. What did I call them?
Boots of Tranquility, twice. You son of a bitch.
Oh, shit! I sincerely thought they were called Boots of Tranquility.
Okay.
Holy shit. Dude, you reacted to that the way a Magic the Gathering player reacts when you misname a card, man. That's so good. Oh,
I'm just trying to save you from getting flamed by flaming you.
Holy shit, whenever you attack her and 30 minutes are locked, I had no clue it was plus 85. Kevin!
They make you really fast.
Good
that's why
Lord.
that's why it's so good to go Tranquils plus Windlace, because all of a sudden you're running like an extra Boots. It's like having Boots of Travel, basically. It's really good. And then the Blink Dagger is fine. I would maybe like an Observer Ward or maybe a Smoke here, there, and there in his item build, but I guess it doesn't show TPs either. Maybe he did buy all that stuff. Who knows? But yeah, just some pretty simple items. I think your assessments are pretty good there. I'm pretty good with that. Let us go to item category section. So clip number 3. So now that we've talked kind of about like where things should go, let's talk about the breakdown, because the breakdown is super important for understanding why you're getting something. So if you take a pause here before the new clip starts, this is our barrier of magic, which basically means when you combine something, it gets slightly better in some way. In this case, we get 3 more magic out of nowhere because it turned from a belt into a pair of really fancy sneakers, and you got 5 more attack speed, and that's about it. So by combining them, this happens across Dota consistently, that pretty much every item when combined together becomes better. I don't think there's any cases currently where an item combines into an upgrade and doesn't actually get better stat-wise. So when we think about what we're buying when we buy treads, boots aren't always the best example because the treads are kind of all boot upgrades are ultra value, like they're insane value in most cases. But if we think of why I'm buying treads because I want movement speed, I want some stat kind, and I also want attack speed. Those are like the 3 aspects of treads that we're thinking about when we buy treads. So I want you to think about all items in this kind of way when you're making item decisions, because items don't just give you one thing unless you're buying a Divine Rapier or a Moon Shard or something. Very, very few items are straightforward in what they give. So let's hop on over to clip number 4. Oh, I'm sorry, there's more of this. Hell yeah. All right, cool. Let's look at this. All right, there's more breakdown.
Yeah, so this just shows that the ingredients not only give you a more holistic benefit, but that this Shadow Blade... Oh!
Boots of Tranquility. I'm just kidding.
Boots of Tranquility and Blade of being shadowed. Yeah.
Slightly better.
The attack speed and the damage are significant in terms of a damage item, in addition to the fact that it cloaks you.
And in some ways, the Shadow Blade actually shouldn't be that big of a difference. On the left side, the Shadow Amulet got nerfed to be 20 attack speed base. So technically, Shadow Blade doesn't even become much better by upgrading it. Just the active that it gives you is amazing. So naturally, the base components going into it. So if I was to ask, like, what does Shadow Blade give you? Obviously, the primary thing is invisibility, but you should always keep in mind the fact that it gives you moderate attack speed and a little bit of damage, for example. If we take a look at the Crystallis on the bottom, the important thing is the recipe costing 500 gold. The way that recipes usually work in Dota is that it gives you this like extra thing that kind of comes out of nowhere that didn't exist before, because there's no like base item that gives you a chance to crit. So the only way to create it is to throw a recipe in. So if there's like part of an item that just comes in, like Basher for example, there's nothing that just mini bashes. So instead Icefrog just puts in a recipe that does it. So you got to think about like the cost breakdown here. The 30 damage that Crystallis gives comes from the damage items. The chance to crit is really coming from the recipe. So all right, now time for clip number 4.
I can't wait.
This one's gonna be a little overwhelming. You're gonna have to pause a lot here. Take a pause as soon as
Pause.
pause. All right. We went through and we categorized most items in the game under categories. Like, what does this give you? What can you see it as? And the
Yes.
emphasis means these items are generally known for buying it for this reason. This is like damage items, okay? These are all items that you buy to increase your damage by a decent amount. And
Yes.
once in a while we make a small mistake, so please excuse any of those for Redditors or whatever that will comb through the 85 images and be like, this I don't agree with this item being on the list, but
Let me come back, and because the glowing middle one, I always forget what it is.
which
It's
glowing middle one are you talking about?
this one. It's
Oh,
Medallion
medallion.
of Courage.
Yep.
Where is it, and what does it do?
It's in the armor or support-ish section, the second row. So the way that the shop is organized is kind of, it's in the upgrades, and it's the second column.
Oh,
And
second
it's
column.
in the middle. Did I say row? Sorry about that.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I know this item. This is the become tanky or detankify someone.
Exactly. Yep. So the way that things are organized in the upgrade shop, they're kind of similar, like one columns. It basically goes like weird items that don't really fit anywhere. Then it's like supporty-ish items, and then it's like if you're a magician items,
spellcasters,
and then it's like defensive
armaments.
items, and then it's like damage items, and then it's like orb items. So it's like those are the ways I could describe it, but it doesn't really tell a good story because those aren't exactly what they do. Like you can't just say like, oh, those are the damage items, and then think about Shadowblade, because Shadowblade's not really a damage item. It's more of like a gank item, utility, stuff like that. So
or Sol Karas gives you like really nice damage related things with the attack speed and the armor reduction.
So yeah, it's an armor item, but it's more damage focused than something like a Lotus Orb. So so we just categorize. So let's just hop through the categories really quick, and maybe you can ask questions or clarifications about things you don't get.
Okay, so these are damagey things, which makes sense. There's none that I see that are weird. Late damage.
So this is basically damage items that are expensive. So these would be like late game item decisions I use. The emphasis on the ones that are usually seen as like, these are the items you're deciding between when you're making a late game. I wouldn't necessarily put Battle Fury on there because usually you buy that early to get farm throughout the game, but
sure,
pretty much all the other ones are there. Ag sometimes does bonus damage, not always. Feel free to continue. And then we have different categories. Attack speed is another really important thing.
Helm of the Dominator.
All very early game items. A lot of these are, I would probably include Yasha and Emphasis as well here, but that's okay. And late attack speed. Did you notice anything very significant between attack speed and damage?
They appear to be mostly disjointed.
What does that mean?
They're a partition of two different sets of things. Like the things that give attack speed tend not to give damage, and things that give damage tend not to give attack speed.
Okay, yeah, that's probably accurate. I'm not entirely sure if it is, but I would agree. There's definitely some crossover, but it doesn't always cross over very heavily. I think the thing that I first noticed was how few attack speed items there were. There's very few items that give attack speed versus damage in a lot of cases. Part of that is a lot about stats as well, and that's probably something that should be clarified. That in a lot of these examples, for damage or attack speed, it's very based on what hero you are. Like if you are a strength or an agility hero, there's a lot of ways to get attack speed and damage by buying stats, for example. But if you're like an int hero and you're trying to buy attack speed and damage, it's difficult because there's not like any items that are plus int attack speed. That just doesn't really exist outside of like Scotty or something. So depending on what hero you are, it's a little bit harder to itemize sometimes. Like that's one of the reasons that int heroes have a lot of trouble carrying in most cases, because there aren't a lot of items that give them damage, attack speed, armor, like all the stuff that you need to be a successful carry, basically. So it's kind of a weird circumstance. Feel free to continue whenever. We're just going to keep poking through these just so you kind of get an item of some stuff there.
Hey, I know this screen. Stats.
And then Sander got a little lazy because he was like, that was taking way too long. Let's just... These are different problems that you have in pretty much every game. So you might need HP regen, you might need to increase your raw HP pool, you might need to increase your MP pool or your MP regen. But like all of these items have features of these things, but they really have like 5 features each. And kind of knowing what items exist is huge for you to make that decision. So if you pause right here, you could be playing a game and be like, hey, I need more mana pool. And then you'd have to think, how can I solve that problem while not buying way too much mana pool, while still getting the other things that I want? And that just
Yeah.
kind of comes down to knowing what's there and having some experience. So feel free to be creative with this. Like, you can definitely get out of your comfort zone a little and try to theorycraft something good, but just make sure it's not terrible, like
One
Bloodstone Ember Spirit or something.
one thing that I think really surprised me when I started to learn Dota is how few axes there really are. Like, there's a shitload of items, but for the most part, it's like this gives this attack damage and that attack speed, and this much health regen, and this much mana regen.
Yeah.
There's not. I think erroneously expecting there to be like 800 different little nuanced things to memorize, but I feel like 90% of this consists of 5 different things. And then there's a few other little abilities thrown in there, like here's exactly how a Lincoln Sphere works. Here's
Yeah.
exactly how an Orchid works. But even then, it's still like stuns and silences and disables of various kinds.
Yeah, the utility-based stuff is definitely the most complicated because it's like Force Staff. When is Force good? When is Glimmer Cape good? That's definitely the hardest stuff usually. Armor block, there's tons of armor things that give you armor. A lot of those are stat items though, so they might only give, like Dragonlance gives you like 2 armor, not very much, but in some
Yeah.
ways you can still include it because if you keep buying agility items, all of a sudden your armor's like 26, 30 or something late game. Really strong stuff. So it's just tons of options. Pushing things are kind of related to like killing creeps rapidly or making your team stronger or being better at team fighting and taking towers afterwards. There's just lots of different options here. And I think that might be, yeah, just mobility is a few more. A couple items that make your movement speed greater, but not a huge amount. Offensive utility helps you get kills. We talked a little bit about that last week, I believe. And then some defensive utility items that help you stay alive longer. So
Yeah.
these are all like your base categories, kind of, that when you're trying to solve your problems, you have to think like, what do I actually need in this fight? Do I need to survive against physical damage or
Yeah.
deal more physical damage or have some other weird utility or and just knowing what to look for makes a big difference. So
Yeah.
basically study the shop.
Yeah, I think that, as I've just been trying to buy random items, like I bought a halberd recently when there was a
how did that
Legion.
go?
It was awesome because there's a Legion commander on the other team, and he dueled someone, and I just disarmed him. And then he lost the duel. And I don't know if that's the best choice to do, but it felt interesting to
That
be able
sounds
to
great.
see the impact.
Yeah, sounds pretty good.
I still think that my biggest question is that last thing that you mentioned. Do I need more physical damage, or do I want to block more physical damage? Both of those can exist in a game. There are games where I both want to deal more damage and I want to receive less damage. And if there's 2 different items that do one of those, I don't know which one to get first. So
I'd say that's very hero specific because to know what your hero's supposed to be doing, if you know that, then you should be able to adjust your item build accordingly. But almost always you're going to want to slowly scale all of those things up as the game continues. Almost every
Yeah.
hero in the late game is going to be like, I should probably buy a armor or magic resistance item because it's getting to the point where I could just get bursted down without dying. Like there's reasons like that you might need it. But it's definitely very hero specific. For supports, for example, it's more like I need to stay alive, not necessarily worry that I'm doing maximizing my like 500 magic damage spell rotation. Like that's not that important,
Yeah.
So it's more of a understanding your hero than it is a perfectly understanding when to get damage versus tankiness, because
Okay.
that question's answered by knowing the hero, if that makes sense.
yeah.
So let's hop into some examples. Do you want to play clip number 5 really quick?
I do. I just closed the entire clip.
Oh,
I can't believe I've done this. Okay, hold on. Kevin, stay where you are. Click and
2
drag.
seconds in the past.
Which one do you want, Kevin?
Clip number 5.
You know
Yeah.
what?
Can
I
you,
can do that.
Okay.
Clip number 5. Oh!
Okay, just press play whenever. So this is just an example of CM not having enough intelligence. But what it's important to do is that you don't sometimes spend too much money on things that you don't need. In the Arcane Boots example here, it's cool that allows her to use her combo by having Arcane Boots, but the thing is that she has a skill that naturally increases her mana regen. It doesn't increase her mana pool, but increases her mana regen. So is it worth it, for example, to go Arcane Boots? It was previously, but now if she's planning on buying an Aghanim Scepter afterwards, now the Arcane Boots feels really wasted because Aghanims also provides mana pool.
Yeah.
So while
I
the
see.
Arcane was fantastic for that first like I don't know, 5 minutes or however long it took her to grab an eggs, it's now bad that she has it. So thinking about how your item builds transition is really important as well, because something that may be temporarily good won't necessarily always be good late game. Like almost every game I'm playing to support, I'm like, I should buy I should get the damage talent. Why would I
Yeah.
pass up 60 damage? But then like 15 minutes later, you're like, I don't have any time to auto attack in these fights.
Yeah.
And you're like, I really should have gotten the GPM. That was really stupid. Like, that very consistent thought when you play pubs, at least for me. So itemization is certainly a lot about knowing what's going to kind of be good with longevity as the game continues. So very simple clip.
Yeah.
Go forward and we'll do some Q&A stuff. Clip 6 here. So we got some issues here. Let's say you are playing any of these 4 heroes. Are you familiar with the heroes?
I know, yes, except I'm not as familiar with Lotus Orb.
Okay, so Lotus Orb has a weak Dispel, and if somebody casts a single target spell on somebody, it will...
Oh, yeah, this is
You'll
the
be affected,
Reflectatron.
but it'll also spawn a new instance that is casted towards the target. But the important thing about this item is that it has a weak Dispel, and if you look at the components as well, it does 10 damage, 10 armor, a Perseverance level of regen, and it gives you a bunch of raw mana pool. So,
All right, cool.
okay, so let's go back to the page. So you're dealing with silences, and you're playing these 4 heroes. Which item corresponds to which heroes and why best, without wasting item value, basically?
Okay, which corresponds to which one best and why? Let me look and think. Okay, so I'm going to tie Puck to this item.
Okay,
to Yules. Puck has a lot of bursty, spelly stuff. Just a lot of abilities that you're going to be hitting a lot. This gives extra mana regen, and does it? Let me think what the components are for a moment. Oh yeah, this gives extra int, mana pool, mana regen, and it lets you Yules up in the air to land and blink away. So that's nifty-tastic. BKB, I definitely would put on Phantom Assassin, because PA already has evasion. She's going to dart right into the middle of a fight. Doesn't want to get stunned, just wants to crit someone in 2 shots, and that's all you need. So as long as you can stay alive a little bit, that's great. BKB seems excellent here. For Manta, I would pair that straight with Phantom Lancer. Well, actually, coming back briefly to this, the stats of this are some damage and some extra survivability, which is also good for Phantom Assassin.
Okay.
Manta, I know, is agility-ish
Primarily.
with an ultimate orb. So this seems not only good because it procs a lot of the other cool things that come with Phantom Lancer, like all your illusions now have the cool charge ability and whatnot, but it's just the right set of stats, and it lets you get around some sort of silence, which I feel like would be devastating for Phantom Lancer, because he's good with all his Phantom Lancers. Now, via oh, you were going to say something.
Would you buy Manta on PA? Do you feel like the stats benefit her as a hero?
I mean, in a... let me think. Let me investigate. I'm going to stew on this.
Give me the Manta breakdown. What would you categorize it as item-wise?
So I mean, it's like a get out of silence. Okay, so first of all, the ability with the illusions. Hold on, I'm going to look away. I'm going to look away. We're going to hear so we don't spoil ourselves. Okay, so actually that's dumb because it's still on my monitor. Let me cover it up like this. Nobody
else can see.
Yeah. So for the creating of extra illusions, I don't think PA has super high stats anyways, and I don't know if her illusions can also crit. And basically, my experience of playing PA is a dart in, dart out hero. That's how I always play with her, not like a sit there and wail on you for 1 billion damage really, really, really quickly and waltz around destroying the whole team like Anti-Mage would. I don't know, it feels weird. I think in a literal sense it gives more agility and stats, but
Okay.
This is my... I don't know, Kevin! This is my best!
We'll answer this question later at the end. So I'm glad I like this. This was your opener. I would also, the other thing I'd point out is that it gives 10% movement speed. And while movement speed is great on heroes, in some ways she doesn't need it because she's already got Blink Strike.
Yeah.
So slightly when she has a slow, and she can already gap close really easily on a 5-second cooldown. In some ways, I'd argue that spending money on movement speed is a little unnecessary for her.
Yeah.
So
Now, this last one of Lotus Orb, this is me just doing process of elimination. I would not have looked at this lineup and gone, oh, one of you definitely wants a Lotus Orb. You know, when I think Timbersaw, I think of things like, you know, obviously Shiva's Guard and Bloodstone and all that other tight stuff. But I suppose that this makes sense because with the reactive armor, you're already gaining a shitload of health. So you can dart in there, get a bunch of targetedness on you, deal the damage back quickly, sort of in line with the fact you're trying to burst people down. And then you have the benefits of regen to heal you up.
that's true. And the important thing is that to remove a silence from yourself with Yules, it takes you out of the battle for 2.5 seconds and generally leaves you vulnerable afterwards, whereas using Lotus Orb is just instant. And you can use it on allies as well as yourself.
Yeah.
And it gives, don't forget, it gives you 250 mana. PA does not need 250 mana. PL doesn't really need 250 mana. And if you use it on your hero, it's really obvious which one's real because he's got a bunch of illusions there. Same with BKB. Whereas, so I would say for Puck and Timber, they could both buy Lotus Orb very easily. I would say maybe definitely Timber more than Puck, but Timber could also buy Yules if you wanted to, and in some cases Timber will also buy a BKB sometimes.
Yeah.
And I could see a BKB on PL in a rare circumstance also.
Yeah.
But I would say you mostly had it right. Pretty good. Is there more to that clip? I cannot remember.
Let's find out. All right, because we're 4 seconds in and it's a 2-minute clip, so I assume that.
I don't think so. I think it's just a huge mistake. No, there's definitely more.
Okay.
I think it's 30 seconds of animations. If you want to watch the whole thing, it's totally okay. But
yeah, no, look, I'm a hands up, dude. Sander makes the sickest, most beautiful videos.
I think he was just expecting us to only talk about that for 30 seconds instead of 6 minutes. So that's all.
Okay, here we go. We're about to transition. Get ready. Here it comes.
I don't have a timer on your screen.
Okay, no, we're at 30, 31.
Whoa, not perfectly synced, but beautiful still.
Oh, shit.
Okay, so this is a... What items would you pair with these heroes to enhance their damage?
I don't know which character this is.
That's Leshrac.
Oh, okay, I know how Leshrac works. And this is Beastmaster, right?
You are completely wrong. He is similar. He's Lycan. They both control animals.
Yeah, like the Lycan Beastmaster Lone Druid. Always confuse them.
They're friends or some shit. I don't know. I don't do lore.
So I literally I do not know any of the abilities on Lycan. I have never played a game with Lycan.
I got you. He summons 2 wolves that auto attack for damage.
It's my dogs.
His second skill does Howl, which makes everybody right click harder and for heroes, and creeps as well. Hits a little harder. And it gives everybody a little bit more HP increase. And then his third skill is a passive that increases his raw damage output and his raw attack speed, I believe. And for his summons as well. Increases their damage and attack speed,
Necronomicon. All right, here's the circle I'm going to do with this. Like, Necronomicon, I don't think makes sense for any of these heroes. It's like magic damage, super carry, man. Get in there, you know.
Do you know what else Necro does that it's good at? Other than right-clicking?
Mana burn?
Yeah. Who's good at mana burn in this game?
It's Anti-Mage. Anti-Mage is good at banana burn.
Would you ever buy Necro 3 for AM?
Nah.
But do you see the potential value here? You see the little glimmer of synergy. Do you see it? Mana drain from the Necro 3 means that when you ulti, you'll do damage. You'll ulti them for a little bit more damage. It's not a good build at all. You should never buy it on AM.
Yeah, I mean,
but I want you to see that link.
Yeah, because I think this is where my brain maybe doesn't analyze items properly, because I look at Necronomicon and say it is bad because if you got a Manta, you could wail on him and drain the shit out of him even faster. So you want to get mana over Necronomicon.
That's like the end point of every bad item argument, where you're like, I think this item is viable. The end is always like, but you could have just bought a Manta, or you could have just picked a different hero instead of trying to force his viability. But I think it's important to understand those things. That way it's easier to be creative in the moments when you're trying to be creative. So Necro could work hypothetically on AM. It could also work hypothetically on Slardar as well, because Slardar's ult lowers armor, and the Necros do physical damage by right-clicking. Still, never do that, but the synergy potential is there.
You know, it reminds me of if you're drafting in Magic or playing Arena and Hearthstone, where you wind up with like weird cards a lot, and you have to be aware of what are potential beneficial synergies between two mediocre cards you would never run in a standard deck if you could construct it instead of draft it. So let me actually, instead of trying to just pair them off, I'm going to go through one at a time. The Medallion of Courage, I think, works nice with Slardar. Slardar already has armor reduction. We just massively armor reduce, and then we're like, hey, team, fuck him up. This is also not very expensive.
And his stun does physical damage, if you didn't know.
I didn't know that. That's so tight. Medallion of Courage on Leshrac seems weird because he has so much magic damage. I suppose this could work on PA, but it's hard to see him transitioning out.
Yeah.
What did I say?
You said PA.
That's straight fuck. That's not a Phantom Assassin.
It's really not. All right, what about Lycan?
I don't know if Medallion Courage can or be upgraded into something that can armor reduce on buildings.
It can't. But you got Solar Crest, which is 12 armor, reduction instead of 7, and it gives you 25% evasion.
And can that work on buildings?
Nope.
Well, yeah.
But if you get attacked, you will dodge some of the hits, and you'll be more resistant to the physical damage from towers.
So it seems okay here on Lycan.
It's actually quite good, because it amps your wolf damage as well, remember? If you use a medallion on a target, it lowers their armor by 7, meaning your wolves do more damage.
I guess.
Would you pair a medallion and a Necro 3? Same thing. It's like same as pairing Necro 3 with Slardar. That same point is applicable here with Medallion and Lycan. It's just far more viable.
Okay.
Same principle. Okay.
Tight.
All right. Let's get to the good ones.
Basher. It works on Anti-Mage.
Okay.
Leshrac, no, he's not doing terribly that much auto-attacking. I suppose Basher, given what you've described to me about how Lycan works, could be very good on Lycan.
Yep.
Slardar, it seems ish just because of how this character plays. I see him dart in and lock a bunch of people down, and then sort of like power people down, and then do a little bit of tankiness.
The reason it doesn't work on Leshrac is because he's a ranged hero, though. Which means that your chance to bash is 10% instead of 25.
Yeah.
Which makes it shit. It doesn't work on Slardar because Slardar has a natural bash. He's the same as Spirit Breaker. He's one of like the 2 or 3 heroes that can't use bash.
You motherfucker. For any of you who did not see this, there was a live coaching that we were doing 2 weeks ago, and I was playing Spirit Breaker and we were demolishing, and I was like, I'm not sure what item to get, Kevin. And Kevin says in the same deadpan, he says everything. Yes, you should get a basher. And I was like, okay, Kevin, with my usual cartoon-esque enthusiasm, I buy a basher, and then I'm like, This doesn't do anything. And in the exact same tone of voice, you're like, yeah, it doesn't do anything. You just wasted the bony.
It's fine. It's fine. Totally fine, man. All right, let's get to the E-Blade. Come on. We got like...
E-Blade. Leshrac. It's good on Leshrac. He does magic damage. The end. No one else really does any magic damage except for Anti-Mage's big Mana Void.
Which would be cool, am I right? Amp that damage. Because you make them ethereal, they take 40% more magic.
Sick.
You want to know another fun fact? Ethereal Blade is the highest agility giving item in the game. Really? Who has some baller illusions? It's Anti-Mage. You could make him better.
Huh. I mean...
and he's got amazing agility gain. And you buy a crap load of agility items. I would say this is only slightly to moderately bad. Not ultra bad like my other suggestions. Yeah. But it's a potential. And it'd be another way to just get a nuke. Like, you could just nuke somebody for like... probably 700 damage or something insane, like in with E-Blade on AM.
Yes.
The only other thing that I forgot is Medallion on Leshrac is actually very, very possible, because your second skill, Diabolic Edict, does physical damage, and it does a lot of physical damage.
Oh, that's the burst.
Yeah, it's like the little explosions around you kind of a thing. So that's another possibility. And it gives him armor if he's in trouble, and it gives him a little bit of mana regen, which is really good on the hero. So it's actually kind of a definitely viable potential.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on. 30 more seconds. Let them animation. No, just skip ahead.
Okay, wait. And... Alright.
Alright, these are your scary heroes that you're playing against, okay?
Oh my god.
How do you solve these problems? What do you got?
What is the character... Oh, that's Legion Commander. Okay. Wait, you said what do I solve against these?
Yeah, let's say you're playing against these 4 heroes and they're trying to kill you. What do you buy?
Okay, if I'm against Anson, a Pansy Mage, I'm gonna get Ghost Scepter. He can't touch me, man. He'll mana burn me, which hurts, but...
What if he's got an E-Blade?
Then he's Purge, and you've lost before the game even started. Okay. Against Viper, I would absolutely get... Force Staff doesn't seem like it's that good, because he would already be slowing you down if he got any hits off, so that would be a little tough. Probably a Glimmer Cape there. Force Staff still seems okay-ish. Ghost Scepter doesn't do much. Town Portal works great. Against Slark, you can Town Portal out of Slark.
Yep.
Pounce Leash, that's great.
Would you buy a Force Staff against Sark?
Because I have the reaction times of a small cat, yes. Yes, I think it's not unreasonable, but it's not amazing.
Why is it not amazing?
I don't think you can Force Staff out of his leash.
Correct. That's where it's bad.
You can react the fuck out of his leash and get out of there.
Yep.
Mechanism... Does this cure negative debuffs, or is that just Guardian Greaves?
Just Greaves.
Okay, so, I mean, this doesn't seem particularly exceptional against any of them. This just seems fine.
It does give you a lot of armor. That part's pretty good. And it's definitely not individually the best solution out of any of these choices. It maybe beats TP, but if you are fighting in an AoE, it could help your team win a team fight, maybe.
Yeah.
And then with your team there, they can back you up and try to kill Slark or something. So Mech is still very good here.
Yeah.
But against most of the heroes, it's not always the best counter. I think you're underselling Glimmer a little bit. I feel like Glimmer is good against the first three, extremely good against the first three. And Ghost Scepter, you forgot about Legion as well. I feel Ghost Scepter is amazing against Legion.
Oh yeah, I was going through hero-wise. Yeah, no, against Legion Commander, I definitely am a fan of these first two, and not as much of the Force Staff because I've been absolutely dumpstered on by Legion before in that way.
Let's jump to the last one. Last 30 seconds of the clip. Go ahead and jump wherever.
Okay.
All right, you want some sustain options, and you're playing one of these four heroes. Who do you match to who? What items do you match to who?
Okay, is that Juggernaut?
Yep.
That's kind of a weird skin. Okay. Who do I want? Okay, if I'm going to fly into the Rage... Okay, so let me actually go to items and say who I like with this. So this is Helm of the Dominator. Love this with Fly into the Rage Man. Love this with Juggernaut. That seems great. I'm actually going to skip ahead to the Perseverance. I like Perseverance on these, or on Weaver especially, because it can build into items that he wants, like a Lincoln Sphere. I don't think Battle Fury Juggernaut is a thing as much anymore, so plus, he just does not really need super significant regen. He's already got a super healy guy. Night Stalker, I don't actually know too much how he works.
Very gank heavy. Roams around the map a lot.
Well, then these two, for sure.
Perfect.
These two, absolutely. For all of those.
Would you buy a Mask of Death on any of these heroes? Possibly a Mask of Death into Satanic?
If I did that, I feel like it would be very late game on just Juggernaut, or very late game on just Viper.
Yeah. Maybe Weaver, but probably not. Maybe carry Night Stalker, but that shouldn't happen anyways. Yeah, I would agree. Bottle, I would say, could work on any of these four heroes as well. Certainly an option. But it's definitely better on like Weaver or Night Stalker, I would say, just because they're more mobile, so they'll be able to grab runes more often.
Yeah.
So this one's a little bit less precise, but I think it presents a difficult option. Just like for Weaver, for example, the item you said was good with him. It's like 1,700 gold item. It's really expensive. There's not a lot of... Sometimes there's not good item fits to heroes, and it creates problems with their balance, I feel. Or it makes them worse in the game versus other heroes that just have the most obvious item builds ever. So that's always something you might want to figure out. Like, how can I solve my problems in a cheap way that allows me to accelerate into a different item that would help me better? So that's a lot of itemization, is matching things like these. I think we're going to jump to clip number 8 really quick here. It's going to tackle BKB a little bit here.
Yeah.
We got Lincoln's versus BKB. What's the benefits? Obviously, BKB makes you spell immune. You don't have to worry about getting stunned, but the stats it actually gives are pretty weak. Very, very weak impact for 39.75 gold, whereas Lincoln's actually gives you much better stat impact. But have you had any of those games where you buy Lincoln instead of BKB and you just get stunned all the time and you die?
I haven't. I rarely ever buy Lincolns.
Okay. The issue obviously is it's not reliable. It has a good build-up for regen and stuff, but the real benefit from BKB is just that you know that if there's a team fight, as long as you press your BKB at a good time, that you are going to have 10 seconds that you can do what you want in the fight, pretty much.
Yeah.
So the way you should look at a BKB and when is it time to buy it is, and think of this from like a Spirit Breaker perspective, is if you're expecting a fight to happen, then a BKB is pretty much necessary if they have enough stuns. So you have to think of it not as a farming item, like Lincoln's could be seen as like a weak farming item, but a better farming item than BKB. It's an item that allows you to have a much better chance to win your team fight. So if you need to win your team fight and therefore take a tower or whatever, then BKB is a must. And sometimes, even if you only use it like 2 or 3 crucial moments in the game, it completely pays for itself because you know that with the BKB you can throw off your opponent's tempo and guarantee that you kill them before they even cast a spell on you that would have set up
Yeah.
the next spell and the next spell and the next spell.
So is
It
this why I
just
see Lincoln spheres on a lot of characters that do split pushing in mid and late game, like weavers, invokers,
yeah, I mean
embers?
that's mostly because the way to counter split push is to gap close, instantly initiate, and instantly disable. Usually things like Lincoln or Hex, like
Yeah,
Sheepstick
yeah,
or Abyssal Blade, because those are instant. So there's no, if the player is playing correctly, there's no way to react in time because they would instantly blink, instantly disable you. So if you have a Lincoln's, at least you can interrupt the duel, the Hex, stuff like that, and then that forces them to have blink, force, and their disable item. That way they can blink, force, Hex, because most items have instant cast points because there's no animations to items. So that's the only way to counter those instant cast times is to get a
yeah.
Lincoln's. So yeah, that's definitely why late game Lincolns are more common because it allows players to outplay their
Okay.
expected opponent's actions. So adjusting your item builds based on what you need to accomplish, whether it's win a fight with the BKB, or if you're just going to split push and not fight for 30 minutes, screw the BKB, why buy it early? It's bad farm potential because it doesn't give you a lot of damage or attack speed or anything. So keep weighing that as well. All right, really quick, let's go to clip number 10, item slot issues. So, wrong. That's 10. Did I say 10? I meant 9. That's on me.
You got it.
My
Here
bad.
we go.
All right, so this is a game I played the other day. I played a Wraith King. If you want to take a pause right here, this is my item progression. I went Armlet. I got a Blink Dagger. I bought a Blade Mail because I was against a Shadow Fiend who has minus armor and an Elven Titan who has minus armor. So I was like, I want to get a lot of armor. So I got those 2 items. And then I bought more armor with an AC. And then I got a Basher. And then I was like, I should have bought a BKB like 20 minutes ago. Okay, so press play for a sec. So this purpose is I bought way too many inexpensive items between like Blink Dagger, just let this play. Blink Dagger, Blade Mail, Basher. I basically 6-slotted myself at 30 minutes, which is way too early. And at this point, I have to start selling items. So you have to remember sometimes that you're definitely going to run into item slot issues, especially with like Blink Armlet, Blade Mail, things like that. That's 3 items
Yeah,
that are
yeah.
under 2,500 gold and all of a sudden I'm out of slots. So be careful about adjusting those. And as I sell them, it hurts my net worth. The next couple fights didn't go fantastic because I didn't have BKB. And once I get BKB, the game's pretty much just like a coast to the end of the game kind of a thing. So be cognizant of how many slots you have when you're playing carries, especially with
Yeah.
Blink Dagger carries. That's super important. And also consider sometimes that you can do item transitions. I talked about this before, but like consider a Vanguard early for a late game Abyssal. Like you don't always have to immediately build
Yeah.
item into item. Your mech doesn't have to instantly upgrade to a Guardian Greaves. You could delay it. If you buy Arcane Boots on Crystal Maiden at the start of the game where it's really beneficial, if you can disassemble that later and turn it into a useful item like Bloodstone, not that you should, or maybe Aether Lens, that's always a possibility as well. So try to think about how those items can weave.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's the most useful thing that I've found is trying to think about what do I want to wind up with at the end of the game, and therefore what early games would I want to do. Like that's what I loved when you pointed out about the get the Vanguard early instead of Vlad's on PA. You'll be getting an Abyssal Blade anyways, and then I feel like hyper super efficient and sexy.
Yeah, and then you're hard to kill by nukes, and you have amazing damage block. Like if you're like level 10, 12 minutes of the game, and you have an item that damage blocks 70 damage 50% of the time, that's like 70% of anybody's auto attack at that point in the game. It's like an insane amount of survivability. And then you don't have to spend 1200 on a 15 damage, 15% lifesteal item that leaves you running around with like 800 HP. And then you can justify your skill points and damage skills instead of defensive skills. It just, items really open up your game in interesting ways if you make good choices. So, speaking of good choices, clip 10 finally.
Hey,
No,
let's do
clip
abilities. Yeah, this
All
is
right.
this is the don't do the same shit that you can already do passively anyways, man.
Exactly. So these are 3 different abilities. 2 of them are from Ursa, 1 is from Faceless Void. I want you to tell me, read those skill descriptions for Time Lock individually, and tell me what item type you need to purchase to make this ability better. Because this is most of Dota, is comparing the items
How to
with
make
what
the
your skills
ability
do
better.
to make them better.
Okay. Time Lock, increased attack speed, straight up. It looks like there's no cooldown on Time Lock. I don't know if that's because it wasn't displayed, but straight attack
I think
speed,
there's
man.
no cooldown. Yeah.
So, what would make this better? Since he's an agility character, agility items and attack speed items. So,
Because he has a chance to bash, therefore you want more attacks for more chances to bash.
I mean, I can think of ultra expensive items like Butterfly, Moonshard, these types of things, but
Yeah,
I would
those
probably
would
need to
work.
spend some time actually because what I don't want to do is say, "Oh, Butterfly, cool, the answer's done," because I know if I'm ever playing a Faceless Void, I will not say, "Hey, I'm in Dota now. Let me get a Butterfly." There's
Yeah.
going to be like a long progression to there, so I would certainly want to sit and examine that and try to like plan out a path. But
Yeah.
okay, Fury swipes deal more damage. The most damage is lost. Yeah, so this is just attack damage. So I would just want straight damage because bang, 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 bang. Just take them out.
Uh, every time you attack, you leave a stack. That means the next time you attack them, you do slightly more damage. That's what Fury Swipes does. So every subsequent attack on somebody increases your damage by up to 30. So you'd hit them for 60 damage. You hit them next time, you do 90. The next time you do 120. The next time you do 150, basically.
And what's the max amount of stacks?
A billion or something. I don't know. Something insane.
Something huge? Oh, okay. That's just also attack speed and
Some
overpower.
integer or some shit. Some programming integer, whatever they set it to.
Yeah, and I mean, overpower is the same sort of thing, where if you can just deal more damage with overpower, you will get bonus attack speed on that.
Yeah, but think of
damage.
them individually first.
Okay, so
what item do you buy for Fury Swipes to make Fury Swipes better?
definitely attack speed. 100%
Correct.
attack speed type items.
All right, and overpower.
I was just going to say 100% damage type items.
Correct, because it makes you attack fast, so you should combo that with damage. And obviously, Fury Swipes and Overpower together are an amazing pairing in that one makes you attack rapidly, one makes you amp up your damage the more attacks you do. So that's what Ursa is balanced around. So what do you buy now if you have both Overpower and Fury Swipes?
If I have both of them,
Yeah.
gap close to make it actually happen.
Okay.
I mean,
I would include movement speed in that, so that you can chase somebody while you're attacking.
sure, and survivability, so that way you can actually make this exist at all, because it seems like your ability is already giving you the stacks of damage that you want at a very basic level. So if you die or get disabled, then you don't get to have all the damage that you would like to have as a bear.
That's right. And I would also say offensive utility from the vein of bashers are good. It prevents them from reacting to you stacking and attacking more.
Yeah.
Things like Shadow Blade to gap close, Force Staffs to get in, Blink to get in, things like that. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, and finally, let's talk about min-maxing damage and attack speed. Clip number 11, I think.
The techies clip?
Yeah, that one's... Oh, you watched that one already? All right.
No, I mean, it's called techies.mp4,
Okay.
so...
All right, so this is small item changes here.
Huh.
Guy on the right side has all damage. Guy on the left has all attack speed. The guy in the middle has a little bit of a blend. The one on the right is the most expensive build. But one of them does far more damage over time.
Whoops.
And it's basically you need a balance of attack speed and damage. It's really important. Because if you don't, your overall DPS is not maximized. And the way that the math works out is that you want about 100 more attack speed than you want damage. Gives you the best curve of damage overall.
Yeah.
So always when buying items, try to think about buying a little mix of both. And if you continue the clip, you can also think
12.
about the... I'm sorry, it's the next clip afterwards.
Okay.
If you're thinking about things like time lock on Void, for example, then you have to keep in mind what the bonus damage that your passive gives you. So crits, for example, Daedalus gives you a chance to crit, so you have to think of that as needing more attack speed as a result to offset that. So you don't have to perfectly calculate this every time. There's a lot of game feel. Most people don't even understand the perfect balance, but if you do a little bit of math, you can figure out how much attack speed you really should have to maximize, and you could use this hypothetically to influence your decisions, but this is generally more dense than is needed in an average game.
Okay.
All right, one more little slide for questions here.
Okay, I'm ready.
We've got a Dagon, we've got an E-Blade, we've got a Mystic Flare. Mystic Flare is a skill, the other two are items, right?
Oh yeah, dude, Mystic Flare is a hell of a skill.
So we talked a lot about amplifying skills, or items with, skills with items. Now let's talk about items with skills. How do you amplify Dagon? What kind of a skill would amplify Dagon?
Kind of a skill would amplify Dagon.
Just keep in mind when you combine items, they become better. And the same is done when you have a thing like Time Lock and you buy attack speed, your Time Lock is becoming better and better and better. So how do you do the opposite way? If you buy Dagon, who should you pair it with to make your Dagon better?
So I mean, I don't know if this is just me having played too much Nyx with a clown build with Brown Boost Dagon, but I feel like the thing that goes well with a Dagon is two things. One, if there is a way to increase the amount of magic damage that they receive. So
Yep.
this would be like Pugna's Etherealify.
Decrepify.
Decrepify, there he is. I like Etherealify.
All right, I'll let you keep that one.
Thank you. I mean, if you're not going to give me Boots of Tranquility, you got to give me an edge somewhere.
Okay.
So just Necrophos has Ghost Walk. Can he cast that on enemies?
He cannot, and it doesn't amplify the magic damage they take. It just slows them. It makes himself ethereal.
Okay, so there is the magic and fragiling type abilities, but also I just feel like burst damage works great with a Dagon.
I would agree. Burst damage stacks well with burst damage, basically.
Yeah, so like Nyx Assassin, Puck, Necrophos with a big.
It's the Slacks build, the Brown Boots Dagon 5.
Yeah, that's God. I think Slacks is a smart person.
He is definitely.
That's all I got for Dagon.
Okay, what do you got for E-Blade?
Oh, Tinker would also be good with Dagon because he has.
Yep. Just refresh it, cast it again.
Yeah, Ethereal Blade. This is okay. So there's two things. Anyone that has a ridiculously high stat. So I mean,
primary attribute.
Yeah, primary attribute. So I mean, the Morphling, obviously, like you just go you go ham with that. And then anyone that does a lot of magical damage. So I have used Ethereal Blade, much to my delight, with Nyx Assassin when I have Dagon in there. Mm-hmm. You just go hit Ethereal Blade, Dagon, Mana Burn, Raffle. Yep. That's great. Other spellcasters have tried Ethereal Blade on. It works okay. It seems to work okay-ish on Lina, but it's not like the greatest.
Would you ever use it for its movement speed slow?
Maybe.
Like hypothetically, instead of rushing Yules on Lina, you could buy Ethereal Blade somebody so they're slow for 3 seconds, and then land your Light Strike Array reliably. Is it viable? Hell no. That's 40 agility on Lina that you don't need. But it's real cool. Have ever been E-Blade Light Strike Array set up as from a rush to like Ethereal Blade Lina?
You know, I never have. Never have. I know there's a new meta lying out there somewhere in the ocean, somewhere in the distance.
Your team's gonna flame you for Brown Boots Eagle Song on Lina, but when you finish that E-Blade, they're gonna die, probably.
They're gonna get stunned and burned, guaranteed. And a few seconds later, when they're out of ethereal form, we can hit them.
Exactly, it's beautiful. So, what about Mystic Flare? This is Skywrath Mage's ulti. Are you familiar with it?
Oh yes, Rod of Atos. Okay. I know the answer. It's Rod of Atos.
Good.
There it is.
Or E-Blade, which slows people.
Oh, Purge!
And increases the magic damage they take.
The new meta is born. It took 9 months of preparing for this show, but now Kevin's finally pushing the E-Blade out. There it is.
To get everybody to buy more E-Blade.
Oh, it's so good. So
these are all the interactions that that you got to consider. But and again, got to keep in mind if it's viable. Do you want 40 agility as a solution? Like Atos is so good on Sky because it gives him raw HP, which he needs. And it gives him 30 int, which is just godly. Gives him spell amp, makes his first skill do more damage. It's perfect. So keep all that stuff in mind, item transition wise. And I think that's about it for the episode. It's kind of hard to talk about builds sometimes. There's a few things that I want you to theory craft really quick. Actually, give me a DPS Lina build. How would you build a DPS Lina? I want you to think about like minute 5 until minute like 30. And by DPS, I mean you right-clicking as your source of damage. What would you build?
I think that I would, instead of Arcane Boots, I would get Phase Boots.
Okay.
I would still want to get Yules, because it's such a solid escape spell. And I can Yules WQR, whack with my auto attack. That seems nifty. I think Shadow Blade would be another good item to get following that because it's
you're already pretty expensive here. What if you swap Shadow Blade for Yules?
If they didn't react quickly, it's possible.
I mean, you could have Treads, Wand, Bottle, finish your Shadow Blade. It's 2,700 gold. just cut off your whole Yules. All of a sudden, you just pop up Invis, break Invis, hitting somebody and stunning them because they're not going to see it coming, and just combo them. I feel like that could be, and then you could transition that into some other damage item. Like, thinking about how to shave items off sometimes is hugely differential, because by the time you build Treads, Yules, and then buy a Shadow Blade, you're already 5k deep gold-wise. They're going to have Glimmer Capes, Force Staffs, Blink Daggers, all these other problems that you'd have to now deal with your Yule's Shadow Blade, which is like, just delays it.
I like Yule's though. Yule's is tight.
But it doesn't help you DPS very much. It gives you like 10 int or something. I don't know.
But it guarantees that I can throw them up, drop them down, and fuck them up all by myself.
You can do that by being invisible. You should try it maybe today for fun.
Okay.
If you, I don't know,
Okay.
you'd probably do it bad, but
I hate fun. I'm the enemy of fun. It's
All right.
Wolf Shirt Wednesday. I'm here to win, Kevin.
Okay, I got another one. Stat item PA. Run with the Manta PA. How do you make Manta PA good?
Manta PA. How do we make her good?
An easier question is, why are illusions? How do you make your illusions strong?
Kevin, you have to increase your base statistics. You can't just get phase boots because your illusions will not be powered by the power of the phase boots.
That's right.
I'm assuming that they're going to get powered by power treads. So step one, you'd get some power treads up on that shit.
Okay.
You know what else you'd get? Well, let me just look. Let me look. It could be an ethereal blade. I don't know. I'm not saying that's guaranteed.
That's one that won't be viable.
No sir, no sir way. Okay, so butterflies looking good.
You change your overlay.
Kevin, yes, I can. Okay, so now when I'm glancing through on this shit, we want stat item PA. How do we make a Manta style good? I mean, I guess things like Chrysalis, Daedalus, things like this.
Nope, you can't do that because if they both crit on the same moment, then they don't stack.
That's so fucking correct. It needs to be. Oh my god, Kevin.
And the plus damage that those items give you isn't applied to your illusions. It just makes them crit, but they already crit because of your ulti.
Oh, and it gives plus damage, not plus stats. This is so bad. Okay, hold on. Let me actually just drag
Let's start
along.
earlier. Let's say like a 10 to 15 minute item. Transition. Your goal is basically getting into Manta style. You got treads. Okay. What else you get?
How much does this give?
4 stats. Not that much.
Yeah, not terribly much.
Would you get a Dragon Lance?
Yeah.
On a melee hero? Are you stupid? Come on.
No, fuck you. Meepo gets a Dragon Lance and he's melee, and there's 4 of them.
Except
what are you gonna call him wrong 4 times?
Get the same stats. That's the difference.
Okay,
like,
well that's
you buy
a reasonable.
1 Dragon Lance, you have 4 Dragon Lances basically.
Dude, this would be tight, man. I wish it improved the range of the dagger. Okay.
What about a Ring of Aquila? 9 agility.
It depends if I can find it. I can find it if I'm in the game. Where on earth does that show up in... Oh, there it is. Hey, this could be cool. This is a nifty, thrifty little transitioning thing. There it is.
Would you get a Deso like normal?
Kevin, I wouldn't. I would not get a Desolator
Why is that?
like normal because it adds damage. And guess what? Those illusions, they don't deal that damage.
Would you get a Blightstone?
It's cheap, and it can help, but I would rather get another cheap item that builds into something niftier, assuming that I could decide upon that.
Okay.
What does this thing build into? Oh, good lord.
It's very expensive.
Holy god. The ingredients are expensive, too. What about Sanjin Yash? How much does that give? This gives 16 to everything. Okay, whatever. What
would
about
you get would you get an SNY with your Manta?
It's
terrible. Don't do that.
Terrible.
The movement speed aura doesn't stack because it's kind of the same item.
Okay. All right. I'm like trying to read and to see like as fast as I can. Kevin, I've done my best. I've given you the best answer that I can possibly give for
I just got super impatient. I'm like, I can't wait for you to read every single.
Sean, none of these are correct. It's all wrong. They're bad.
The issue is I don't think you're quite ready to theory craft a fancy build just yet. It's not surprising the slightest because it definitely takes a lot of understanding of item nuance. So my stat item PA build that I would maybe theorycraft, I'd say like treads because the attack speed applies to the illusions. I'd go Aquila, I would get a Yasha probably early, maybe a Poor Man's Shield, because it gives agility. Then I'd probably transition into Manta if possible. This build sucks, by the way, don't do it, but it's really fun. And then you can buy things like Scotty as a really good transitionary stat-based item. You could buy Diffusal Blade, maybe, to increase agility and make your illusions mana burn.
Oh, that's right.
It's a fun build, honestly, because you dagger them, and they get slowed from range, and then you Blink Strike on them, and then you pop Manta. And then your Manta gap closes with you, kind of. And then all of a sudden you just have 3 dudes hitting, and they crit every once in a while. So it's like there's just always a crit coming out. It's really fun. Try it out sometime. Just not today.
This is my cat, Kevin. This is Despy.
What would you do to make Manta style and Despy good?
Hold on. Let me. We're gonna try to get her to meow. Okay, here we go. Despy, Despy, look at me. Look at me. Don't stop smelling. Come here. Despy, meow. Yes, sick, fucking tight. Come here, Despy. If you're happy and you know it, then go meow. Man, fuck this cat, dude. She never does it anymore. When she was a kitten, she'd do it every time. And now she's sitting on the mouse. I can't believe it.
That's going to make it really hard to play in the next section.
No, dude, I did a close-up of the bottom of my mouse. There's just like this network of cabled cat hair, like trying to cover the sensor. I clean it like all the time. But the cats are shedding right now. Let's see if we can get her to meow again.
Sounds like my kitchen floor right now.
Despy, meow. Fucking please, Despy. Meow. Oh, Jesus, she just knocked my wallet off the table. What are you doing? She
gave you the good one before. She did her job. You're just asking for too much now.
Despy, meow. One more time. The show's not done until we do this. Meow. Despy, come on. Meow.
Guess I'm not leaving.
Yes! Fucking there it is. That's so sick. Meow. You can do it. Meow.
She did it, Sean. She did it. It's time to end the show.
She's like, I'm not possession. And I'm like, yes, you are. You're $75. That's my baby girl. Give me
so what I want you to do in the next section, Sean, is adjust to the problems that you're identifying. Try to get something that blends it in an appropriate amount. Does it give if you're up against too much armor, consider trying something new. Or like when you're thinking about the AC you're buying, you're playing SB, you're like, do I really want an AC this game? Or maybe you should try going Lotus Orb. Maybe the benefits that Lotus Orb gives you is better. Or maybe a Shiva's Guard is better. Or maybe the Armlet is the better armor item that you could buy. Or maybe you could buy a Veil to amplify the amount of ulti damage that you do to a guy. Or maybe you could buy Dagon Veil. That would actually be kind of viable in SB. That'd be kind of a fun build.
I kind of want to do the Dagon SB build, man. We'll see if there's some squishy fellows on there.
It sounds fun, actually. Treads Dagon into Veil. Maybe followed up with an E-Blade.
Oh, look at this build order.
Probably not.
I've been wanting to go Radiance Spirit Breaker.
That sounds difficult to farm.
Well, yeah.
I don't think you can make that work.
Yeah, I've been ever since you did some Radiance examples. I've been hunting for it, but either way,
you could do one. Play Wraith King. Give it a build. I think Wraith King is a great way to figure out your itemization issues because he definitely has some gaps sometimes. Do some Radiance rushes, or maybe don't rush it, but try to navigate towards a reasonably timed Radiance, and then try to adjust your items afterwards based on what you're encountering. I think that is a great item for practice because it will give you a lot of weird situations.
Okay, let's do it. Well, I think that to remind everyone here, first of all, Despy's a good cat. We're going to try to get her to meow one more time before we close out, because that's great. I am now going to be playing for 3 games. Kevin is going to rejoin us around 5:30, where he'll review everything that I've done and give some feedback. Just this week, that will be the end of the show, because Kevin is leaving. He's gone, and Kevin will be gone next week, but I will still be playing this Wednesday, the following Wednesday, every Wednesday from here until this is done. So, yeah. So even though there's no official Day 9 Learns Dota with Coach Purge, it will be Day 9 Flails on Dota next Wednesday. Yes, very good. Who knows?
Maybe I'll make a small appearance. I think I might come back on a Tuesday afternoon, evening. So maybe I can. I won't have a show prepped, but we can Can flame you for your mistakes, maybe.
Yeah, you'll just tune in and go, no, and just hang the phone up. That's perfect.
I'm done. I'm canceling the show.
It's perfect. Either way, thanks again to Gamer Sensei for sponsoring the series. For any of you who weren't here last week, Gamer Sensei is a coaching website where you can go to hire a one-on-one coach to get better at the games you play. It includes Dota 2. There's also other games that exist in the world, much to the surprise of Dota 2 players. They have like Overwatch, StarCraft, Hearthstone, League of Legends, all those other good ones out there. And if you go to the website link that's below here, there is a sign-up code, so you can get a discount if you would like to do that. It's there. Just look there. And here's the juicy thing. Here's the juice. If you sign up via that link, you will be entered permanently into a raffle where the winner will get an hour of coaching from Purge.
Sean won every time up until now. He rigged the system. But hopefully somebody else can win.
Yeah, that was just like the entire series is done if I don't luck out next week. Guys, please, whatever you do, please. But yeah, seriously, Kevin will be doing an hour of coaching per week. So
go sign up. Lots of good coaches, and they're pretty cheap as well.
And without any further ado, I think we're done. Kevin, you got anything else?
Just heads up, going to the Moonduck Hub tomorrow, so if anybody wants to watch the open qualifiers the next couple days, we're going to do a 24-hour stream over there. I believe I'm covering China. So
what's the URL or the Twitch stream link?
Twitch.tv/MoonduckTV.
Moonduck.
Yeah. You ever seen the logo?
No.
Okay.
Moonduck TV images. It's a hippopotamus on the planet Earth.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Wait,
all right.
No, everyone's going to know what we're talking about. There it is. That's the logo for Moonduck.
Yeah. 24-hour coverage coming in soon. If you guys want to watch Pro Dota. All right. That's it. I'll be back
later. Why does the logo look like that? What happened?
I don't know.
Was there like two different rooms and there was like the logo people? They were like Moonduck, and there's another person who was like, you know, it would be cool, and he just drew it, and they just said, we're out of time, we're launching it.
Yeah, pretty much. That was exactly what happened, actually.
Oh, GG. Hung up on his ass.